and it is fantastic, as I say, to have Ashley on. Um, Ashley, how are you coping in the heat? How are you doing, mate?
Mate, with this colour hair, it's probably not my favourite time of year. We did a car boot on Monday, and to say that I burnt was an understatement. I ended up like crouching down the back of the car trying to get some shade. So pretty warm overall.
Yeah, I take my hat off to you, literally, because I did try and grow it during COVID, and I wasn't going to get a haircut, but unfortunately, the intermittent grays and the way that my hair curls when it gets to a certain length, I had to get it all chopped off. So fair play for sticking at it.
Well, my hair's really curly naturally as well, and I don't go grey, I'll go white. So just here, I've got whites coming in. I've had to go from a 3 to a 1.5 on there to get rid of the whites. So yeah, it's getting to a point where it might have to be cut a little bit shorter to avoid that.
Yeah, yeah, I know the feeling. I'm suffering in this heat just with the length of hair that I've got, let alone how you must be feeling right now. So, mate, what I always do with these webinars is we always like to take it back to the start of your property journey, start of your career, really to understand who you are as a person, how it is you ended up talking to us today, and sort of your journey through property, your experiences. So could you just share a little bit with the audience, a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, 100%. So from the age of 14 to about 18, I was working in a restaurant on the old pot wash. And on my 18th birthday, I genuinely borrowed my dad's suit, took 50 CVs out all across Kettering where I live, handed it into banks, to estate agents, to anywhere that would take a CV. And only one person came back, and it was an estate agent. So I thought, I didn't even know what an estate agent was at 18. I had no idea. So I went in for an interview, somehow managed to get the job, started as a lettings negotiator. And it was just one of those things that I was just accidentally good at. Like I had no idea what I was doing. I was taking the wrong keys to properties, but somehow people were just renting the properties off me. So within the first year, I was promoted to manager of a lettings company. I then got headhunted, so I was branch manager. Then did branch manager for sales, lettings, and mortgages, and then I got headhunted again. And then I had a stint of about 6 months where I went into car sales. And mate, I know we've had conversations about cars before, but I know nothing about cars either, right? So somebody would walk into the showroom, and I was working for Renault at the time, and their first question was like, "Right, I'm looking to buy a Renault." And obviously, I'm looking around the garage thinking, "You've just walked into a Renault garage here. Like, you're in the right place. Let's sell you a Renault." And then it was a case of, right, what colour do you want? You want a red one? Do you want petrol or diesel? Oh, you want a diesel one. Okay, how much money have you got? Well, this is what fits the bill. And I was selling cars like that, and people hated it because some of the other salesmen would go into, yeah, it's a 1.4 litre, this, that, and the other. And I'm looking at it and thinking, you're just genuinely making up numbers. I don't even know what you're talking about. But people just kept buying cars from me. And then realised that actually I'm probably not a great salesman, but people seem to like me. So they just kept coming back and buying things from me. And then there was a guy that used to work for the housing network, and I rented him about 15 properties a month at one stage. And he was like, "Look, I want you to come and work for us." So moved across to the housing network, started off in acquisitions, where I was physically going to meet landlords, negotiating the deals and getting everything set up that way. And now, as the business has grown, I've moved into more of a business development manager, where I'm going around all the different events all over the country, eating McDonald's at 1 o'clock in the morning on my way home. And yeah, just spreading the word really about what we do, how we're looking to grow, and what we can offer.
But this is why we get on so well because we've got a lot in common, and there's almost like parallel tram tracks in terms of our start in property because I was exactly the same. That's how I landed my job in estate agencies. I went out at the age of sort of 19, handing out CVs, and the only one that came back was a extremely alcohol dependent estate agent that was so pissed that him and his wife couldn't actually operate the estate agency, so they were looking for someone to come in at work experience and basically do it for them. And that was how I started out. But I laughed because it was you did what a lot of estate agents do, is they try and get out of estate agency and
Yeah,
go into something else. And the normal ones are either recruitment or some sort of sales role.
yeah,
But yeah, it's that. I think when you've worked in an estate agency, um, you go up and you turn up to let people in, and there is no selling element to it
no,
because you are essentially letting them look at the property. And if they don't like it, they don't like it. There's nothing you can do about that. You can't sell it to them. You've just got to give them the facts and the figures. And if they buy it, fantastic. If they
yeah.
don't, there'll be someone else that will have it. And I think that's sort of similar to how I when I'm selling other stuff like exhibition stands or sponsorship for UK Homes Network, I'm very much like, here's what it is. I'm not going to sell it to you in a way that's sort of flowery, or
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
very, very straight down the line. So I love that. So tell me how you got involved with the housing network. What's brought you to them?
So I was an area manager at the time. So I was overseeing 6 offices, and the gentleman that I was talking about earlier, he was taking about 15 properties from me a month, and we just really got on. We went out for a coffee. He started buying properties that were maybe in areas that the housing network weren't taking at the time. So I was renting those out for him, and really got on. And he got to the point that he was like, look, you know exactly what we're doing. We're expanding. I want you to come and work for me. So went over for the interview. And if I'm honest, was genuinely blown away about the social impact of not only you just renting houses, but actually the impact that the housing network has on the individuals that are residing in the property. And it was a case of, well, I love renting houses. I love being nosy and going around having a look at everything. But actually, on the other side of it, wow, I can genuinely make a difference here. I can actually start finding properties that are going to change people's lives, give people opportunity that they wouldn't have without companies like the Housing Network. And once I think I'd been in there for about, I don't know, 20, 25 minutes. And it was like, right, this is exactly what I want to do. How can we make this work? And then, yeah, that was 4 years ago, and could not think about doing anything else at the moment. So it's been a really good 4 years, and yeah, can't complain at all, mate. Really.
Fantastic. And I think obviously with your experience working on the letting side,
Yeah,
you have dealt with the general public, but
yeah,
it's the ones that need the homes the most and the
yeah,
ones that are probably in the most vulnerable positions that stand
yeah.
out to you most about your lettings career. So
Yeah.
being able to do that on a daily basis is probably more rewarding than just sort of traditional estate
Oh,
agency.
100%. Like as a even a lettings negotiator, if you have somebody walk in, like kid under their arm, suitcase, they've got no money, they've had horrific experiences, as an estate agent, as a corporate or whatever, they're not going to pass references. A landlord's not going to accept them. You are literally having to put them back out onto the streets. The council then spends a crazy amount of money to put them in bed and breakfast. There's no stability. They jump from one place to the next, to the next. Where actually in this role, that they're the people that we're helping, the people that actually have got nowhere to go, people that need support, people that need somebody to come around for 3 or 4 hours a week, whether that's 3 or 4 separate occasions or whatever, to help them and get them into a position where we can break that cycle. Because as I know we've had conversations before, if you're a child in this scenario, the probability is that you're going to be an adult in the same situation. Whereas where we step in and actually trying to break that cycle, make sure people have got the understanding of what's needed of them, and give them the support to grow and be able to go at it by themselves. So it's the bits that make you feel really good about yourself is the bits that I really enjoy about the job.
So let's explore that for a minute from a
Yeah.
tenant's perspective. And I don't want to necessarily get into the realms of specific individuals
Yeah.
and sort of reveal too much. But can you sort of give me the sort of journey of a tenant and who they might be and what their situation might be to the point where they're working with you guys or they're, finding property through you?
Yeah, 100%. So they don't find properties through us specifically. So we work with various organisations, local authorities. We also work with the Ministry of Justice and various other organisations like that. So, for example, our Active Opportunity Pathway programme is aimed at people with multiple disadvantages. So that could be a family going through crisis that has got nowhere to go. It could be an individual. They may have a mental or a physical disability. They might have learning disabilities. They may be teenage parents. So that kind of clientele would go through the local authority and end up in one of our houses. And they're the ones that ordinarily would just be thrown from pillar to post and literally just end up going around all the houses. So it's those people that we can offer that stability and support for to progress in life.
Great. And how long are they with you for, or how long is that tenancy?
So it depends on the person, right? So it's not a case of they'll be with us for, I don't know, 60 days or something like that. It's a long-term, safe, stable, secure accommodation for them. So it's I can't really give you specific timeframes, but it is a long time. It's not a short-term hotel system where people are in and out. It's a long-term program.
Great. And are you finding that people are finding you a lot more easily now? Because everywhere I go, the housing network is well represented. Is it something that's have you seen a massive demand increase for it over the last couple of years?
Yeah, 100%. So there's probably two aspects to the answer to that question. You've got all the chaos that's going through government at the moment with the abolishment of ASTs and Section 21s and everything like that. You've got a lot of landlords that have been looking at exiting the market. Where we come along, there's different rules, different legislation, different scenarios that actually mean that landlords can benefit to rent into us. And the other aspect of it is the social impact reports that we put out. The owners of the business have been to Parliament to discuss actually the impact of our MOJ CAS3 programme, how that is benefiting and helping people, the social impact of what we do. We're telling everybody about it, right? Because it's a really good thing that as a landlord renting a property to us, it's a really good thing for them to give back to the community. So there's probably two answers to that question, really.
And would you be able to sort of tell us a little bit more about the active opportunity pathway that you guys have got at the moment?
Yeah, 100%. So it's effectively some of the demographic of residents that I was talking about earlier, so multiple disadvantages. And it's almost like a checkpoint system, right? So let's take a single individual as an example. They would go into a large block of flats. So we've got blocks of 71 in Bristol and various other large blocks across the UK. So they would go into one of those. Now, prehistorically, if an individual was to fail in one of these properties, they would be kicked back out. And all of that trust would be completely broken. They would go off and just do whatever they wanted and kind of have no trust in the system. Now, our it's a trauma-led service, and basically, if you've been in a block of flats for a substantial amount of time and you're really progressing, it may be that actually you move into a larger HMO property. It may be that you then move into a small HMO, into a small family accommodation or something like that. And effectively, if you move from a block of flats into a large HMO and it just wasn't working, instead of you getting kicked back out and put back into the system or lost into the system, you would move back a checkpoint and then go back into the large block of flats. So we can really work with the residents, really help them grow, help them when they make a mistake, explain to them in a way that they understand how that they can improve and do things differently moving forward to really help them succeed. We don't want to set people up for failure. We genuinely want to set people up for success. So it is really a service that is designed to work with the residents to really help them get through all of the checkpoints and into a position where they can move on into the private sector or something like that.
I love that. It's a case of that you're meeting the housing needs of where they are, their progression in life in terms of how they're able to interact and how they, you know, at what certain stage they are within their journey in terms of getting back to normality. So yeah, that definitely sounds like the right step forward. But when we met at an event just on the outskirts of Manchester,
Yeah.
and I hope you don't mind me saying, but you're in Northamptonshire.
Yeah.
You're up and down the M6 like a yo-yo at the
Yeah.
minute, and you're heavily focused on the northwest and Greater Manchester. Um, is it fair to say you're sort of out on the lookout for developers and landlords that can help?
Yeah, 100%. So my main role is to meet landlords. For example, in Manchester, where we met, we need a block of a minimum of 25 bed spaces. So once we've got that, we can build the infrastructure around that to again help these people in Manchester. So yeah, it's landlords, it's people involved in property, could be maintenance, anything like that. They're the people that I really want to meet, because we need to be working with landlords directly, because estate agents, I know this because obviously we were one, but they're gatekeepers to all of these great people that would probably really want to help what we do. But estate agents will just never tell landlords about what we do. They want to make sure that they keep the business or whatever they're looking to do. So it's landlords that I'm really looking to make connections with.
I think half the battle is they don't understand it.
I haven't got a clue. Genuinely haven't got a clue. Because thinking back, when we were 18, 19, right? If somebody came in and gave you a 15-minute speech and you had to just pass that on to your manager, you'd turn around, look at your manager, and you just wouldn't have a clue, would you? So it's one of those scenarios. And there are some fantastic estate agents that we do still work with, that really get it and really understand what we're looking to do. And again, absolutely fantastic. What we don't want to do is we don't want to steal landlords from estate agents. We're happy to work with the estate agents so they continue to earn the money off of it as well. But at some point, we would like to speak to the landlord to make sure that, because we need to be really transparent, right, in what we do. We need to make sure that the landlord 100% understands everything before any contracts get signed.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but at the age of 19, I didn't know where the stopcock or the boiler was in 95% of my properties, let alone
No,
the mechanisms of this kind of strategy.
no.
But I think that's sort of a wider problem, is that the estate agents might well be trained on sort of the resi B2C market, but they have no sort of comprehension of the professional B2B market that's open to them in terms of opportunity. So yeah, it's one of those that I hope eventually they will sort of warm up to what you guys are doing. Um,
Yeah, and yeah. Sorry, just to cut in there, it has been fascinating, really, with all of the changes that are going through. A lot of the big corporate estate agents that previously wouldn't work with company lets and that kind of thing, they are now reaching back out to us because of the change in market, realizing actually we're a really good, safe option for them. So it has been really interesting the last sort of 6 months how that market is shifting.
and you mentioned about the sort of 25 beds, 25 rooms that
Yeah.
you're looking at the moment. You know, when you're speaking to landlords and developers, is there any sort of specific requirement? Because I imagine there'll be sort of people that are listening to this at the moment that will think, oh, maybe I might be able to help. But does
Yeah.
this need to be a bit more specialized?
Yeah, 100%. So what I would say is we would look at any kind of development and we would work with the owner of that to make it fit what we require. But there's certain aspects of what we're looking for that maybe most people wouldn't necessarily think that's a great thing to have in a block of flats. So things as simple as pigeonholes, the amount of blocks of flats that I've been into that haven't got pigeonholes. We have 24/7 concierges in these properties. So we want to make sure that if a mailman is going to be coming in, one, it is a mailman, and two, the right letters go in the right pigeonholes to get to the right people. The desks need to be significantly deeper than an average concierge desk. Access in and out of the property, we need to make sure that we can manage it and control it. We don't want somebody inviting all of their friends around and having a lovely party in the block of flats. The block of flats is for people that we're trying to help, not for people to have a free night's sleep. Do you see what I mean? So there is certain aspects of that that we do take into account. If it's a block of flats that, let's say, is over 5 or 6 floors, the key cards that get you into the front door and to your specific floor, we'd look at having things like that in there as well. Various color schemes, make sure we've got rooms for the various sessions with the residents. So I wouldn't necessarily say, well, yes, there is specifics that we're looking for, but there is always a conversation to have with an individual that's got something of that nature. As an example, something we wouldn't be able to accept is if somebody had 4 HMOs all side by side that came to 40 rooms. There's multiple entrance points, multiple exit points. There's multiple what we would class as hazards that we don't want. So it's, yeah, something that's maybe a little bit more specific is great, but look, it's worth having a conversation on everything, because if it doesn't suit our active opportunities pathway, we might be able to use it for temporary accommodation. We might be able to use it for women's only dwellings. So there's always other avenues that we can go down.
Great. Guys, if you've got any questions for Ashley, please do drop them in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. So, Raj, if you want to drop your question in the chat and we'll get round to that ASAP, that would be great. And I feel a bit awkward asking this in terms of sort of the different types of tenants that or residents that you have. But I mean, there's a lot going on sort of in the sector right now. Are these sort of individuals that are, how do I word this politely, but they're a little bit more down on their luck as opposed to needing specific requirements regarding their health and their well-being?
Yeah. So in Bristol, for example, we're looking for disability-friendly properties. So we have got certain schemes and projects for people that need the extra support around the housing side of it. But yes, overall, it is people that are more down on their luck. The Ministry of Justice CAS3 program that we are running, we've got 1,400 bed spaces, and that's for low-risk ex-offenders. So again, lots of different things going on, all got very different requirements, and locations all want different kinds of properties.
Great. And it's probably a more wider question regarding sort of like the housing market as it is at the moment. I'd love to know from your experience, particularly around, your experience in resi and lettings and sales, and then obviously being well established at the housing network. Temporary accommodation was never a term that was really discussed when I was a estate agent. And we've already highlighted that's because the training was quite bad, but also I think generally speaking, it wasn't something that was widely discussed industry wide. But in the last few years, temporary accommodation has become quite a major talking point, particularly around sort of strategies and people looking to diversify what they're doing, as well as, people looking to be more ethical in the kind of investments and the property solutions that they're providing. Do you think there's a conversation to be had around temporary accommodation and the role it's now taking in sort of the life cycle of individuals and how they get back into property or to find themselves a home? And I just really wondered from your perspective how that fits into the wider ecosystem of the property sector.
Yeah, good. I mean, good question. I think prehistorically it had a quite a bad reputation.
Mm.
So I think historically it wasn't really spoken about that much because there wasn't very many really good providers that could actually offer the security to a landlord. I think, for example, with us, we house over 6,500 people every single night. So I think there's more good quality people that are able to discuss it and explain it than maybe there was sort of 5, 6, 7 years ago. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And 6,500 is a whopping stat in terms of the amount of people that are sleeping better.
Yeah, 100%. And we've got a really clever gentleman that works for us called Mark Turner. We're all on his mission to get to 10,000. So it's not one of those things that if you've got a property that's listening to this, it's not a case of think, oh, well, maybe my property is not going to be suitable or anything like that. We're on a real mission to help a lot of people every single night. So it's absolutely worth a conversation. And we can come around, have a look at it, explain, look, you might need to do this, you might need to do that. Your compliance might not be up to scratch. So actually, this is the compliance that we need to make it fit. So yeah.
Right. Well, this is what I love about UK Homes Network and some of their members. And I knew that this might have, I had a feeling this might have the reaction. So you're talking about some of the properties here. We've had some people already come forward. So I'm just going to fire some stuff at you and see what you think. So Nanda has put, would you consider individual houses that are already ready to let instead of blocks of flats? I have a small list of about 12 properties in different locations from landlords who are looking for long-term leases with guaranteed rent.
100%. So to put that in perspective, the Ministry of Justice look at 1 and 2 bedroom self-contained dwellings, temporary accommodation, 2, 3, 4 bedroom active opportunity pathway, 2, 3, 4 bedroom and 5 bedroom family units. So absolutely looking for single dwellings as well as blocks of flats. And we're working with over 110 councils right at the moment. So if you come forward with a property in an area that we might not be super hyper focused on, there's no reason we can't reach out to that council and say, look, we've got this opportunity. Can we have a conversation? So it's, yeah, absolutely worth conversation about single dwellings.
Great. Raj has put in a comment. I currently have, sorry, the comments are coming in thick and fast now. I currently have a licensed 10-bed HMO with kitchenettes and all en suites. I will be reaching out to some of our trusted partners regarding this and have a meeting with an RP next week. Would this be suitable?
Again, depending on the condition of it, we work really hard with the properties that we have. We've got various agreements with various councils and local, national, regional governments. So again, depending on the quality of the property, absolutely. And if it is something that we need to work on, then it's a conversation that we can have. Say, look, do you know what? Everything is great, bar the tiles in the bathroom are all cracked. Can we get it retiled? So yeah.
Great. And the comments are coming in that are similar, but I just wanted to pick up on this one from Pauline. She's got, are you needing properties in Huddersfield and Bradford? So it'd be good to sort of see the areas that the housing network are currently identified. Me and you have talked about this off camera, that there's some real hotspots in the country right now that need serious attention, particularly like Greater Manchester. You've got a landlord who has 2 and 3 bed houses, also 4 and 6 beds in good condition. But this is the question that I was really interested to hear from you is also, do the 6-bed houses need to be HMO licensed?
No. So because we work with a registered provider, we don't need a HMO license to operate it as a HMO. So if you came to me in Bristol, because I'm always in Bristol, so I know that quite well. If you had a 5 bedroom family house in Bristol and you were to meet our property specification, you could legitimately get 6 bedrooms out of it with enough living space to meet the local HMO guidelines, HMO standards, we could in theory use that as a 6-bedroom HMO. On the flip side of it, we would also take it as a 5-bedroom family house. So again, it depends really on what route the landlord wants to go down, whether they want the 6-bed HMO or whether they want it to keep using it as a 5-bedroom family house. But we don't need the HMO license.
Great. That's brilliant news. And then we've had another one about a 6-bed HMO in Leicester, but you've already sort of touched on that. Dawn has put that this is good to hear. She has 4 landlords with single dwellings who are ready to lease their properties and a vendor with a portfolio of 22. She's asked, can you put the contact details of who to contact in the chat, please? If it's all right with you, Ashley, what we'll do is we'll get your contact details out into UK
Yeah.
Homes Network after this, and then everyone can drop you an email or give you a call. Does that sound all right?
Absolutely, yeah, 100%.
Great. So I imagine there's going to be a few people that are going to want to.
Just make sure you use my work number, mate. Don't get me personal number out on there.
Yeah, he specifically works between the hours of 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. So if you try and catch him then that would be ideal. So yeah, in terms of the areas, can we just focus back in on that? So what areas are you would you say are the hotspots?
Yeah, so look, again, we work with over 110 councils. If there was people that came to me specifically with HMOs in Oxford City Council, with family homes in Bristol City Council, if we had somebody that had a block of flats in Manchester City Council, what I do need to really emphasise is the funding goes to a specific council. So Bristol, as an example, half of Bristol South Gloucestershire Council. We couldn't use a property in South Gloucestershire Council in Bristol because the funding is specifically for Bristol Council. So, Bristol, Oxford, Manchester, Stoke-on-Trent. There's a lot of areas, but I think if you came to me with those areas, that would, for me personally, that would be really good this week.
Great. Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be quite a few people that are going to want to come forward, Ashley, and support what you guys are doing. You mentioned that 10,000 is the target.
Yeah.
Can I stretch that a little bit further? What's the sort of long-term vision for this? Where do you see this going? Because 10,000 is a lot of people,
Yeah.
and that's an amazing job. But what is there some sort of mission statement that you're looking to really grasp hold of with this?
Yeah, 100%. So it's 10,000 by 2029.
Right.
That's the mission. We are so focused on achieving this by 2029. We've just gone through a stage where we have hired some very, very, very clever people from different places to really start to propel us further. Look, when I joined 4 years ago, I think we had about 80 people working for us. We've now got well over 320 people that work for us. 10,000 is the current goal. I'm sure if we get close to 10,000, all of a sudden it'll be 11,000. But yeah, we're not here for a short term. It's a long term thing we're looking to do.
I can tell by the response already. We might help. UK Homes Network might be able to support you in taking a little chunk out of that target. So fingers crossed. And it's really good to see the response from everyone. Yes, Sonny, this will be recorded. So if you want to go back and watch it earlier, it will be out tomorrow in the UK Homes Network app, and we'll get that out with some clips so that you can watch it straight away. So if you haven't already downloaded the UK Homes Network app, you'll also be able to message Ashley directly after this webinar, and I'm sure his inbox is going to be full, which is very exciting. So Ashley, is there anything that we've not discussed in this webinar that you think is really important that we need to be sort of shining a spotlight on?
I mean, genuinely, me and you could sit and talk about this for the next 3 hours, right? So I think we've got a lot of information out at the moment. I think if anybody is interested in what we do, if they've got any ideas of how they can help on our mission, then reach out to me directly. Happy to have a conversation with anybody. I think I'm just pretty pleased that by the time we're finishing this, I'm not going to be the one that everybody's going to be aiming for in the paintballing, mate. So that's a bit of a win. I'm happy with that.
Well, it's we're splitting it into two teams. It's going to be Team Help Builds with Tony Walker, who you met in Manchester,
Yeah.
and it's going to be Team Blue with UK Homes Network. And I'm going to bagsy you for Team Blue, mate. We'll get you on our team, no problem. I'm not saying we're going to be any good, but we'll certainly give it a good go.
Mate, we were talking about gladiators earlier, weren't we? So I don't think either of us are going to be setting the world on fire.
But we'll go down trying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great stuff. So guys, if you want to reach out to Ashley, please do drop him a message in UK Homes Network. We're going to put out his contact details very shortly so that you can drop him a message with your property. So you can either direct message him or drop him an email. And as I said earlier, his opening hours aren't 1 a.m. till 6 a.m. Yeah, if you do want to give him a call, please do make sure it's during office hours because it'll be me that gets the brunt of it for sharing that with you. Ashley, thank you so much for having it coming on this afternoon. I really, really do appreciate it, and it's been great fun. Where can people find you? I know you're doing a lot of networking at the minute.
Yeah, 100%. So on here is a great way to reach me. I'm 35 years old and only just learning social media, so this is probably the app that I use the most. But yeah, pick up the phone, give me a call, get a Teams booked in, or send me an email. That's probably the best way at the moment.
Great stuff. All right, guys. Well, we'll be back next week. We are in the process of booking two webinars in. This one will be for you, Ashley. We're actually getting a social media expert in on Monday evening, which is going to be incredible. So Christy is going to be joining us from Liverpool. She is quite a well-known social media expert, specifically working in the property and construction space. And we are also on Wednesday, same time next week, we are going to have Steve from BNP Paribas Stratton Parker on with us. He is the head of viability. He was also on our panel at our Manchester event on the Property Developer Live panel. Got such a great response. We wanted to have him back for a webinar. So he's going to be talking all about affordable housing, viability, and the national planning reforms that have come in, or the national planning policy framework that has come in. So please do make sure you check out that. And if you want to go back and watch any of our previous webinars, you can do that in the on-demand webinars tab. Ashley, thank you so much. Really appreciate it, mate. And I hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's been cracking, mate. Appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me.
Great stuff. See you all next week, guys. And looking forward to seeing your posts in UK Homes Network.